Did you know humans are the only animal on this planet capable of malignant aggression? There are two types of aggression, alright? There's beneficial aggression, the fight or flight. It's a survival instinct, it's a biological defense that every living being has. It's the will to survive. It's that instinct within us that kicks in when we need to fight for survival, when we have to fight off an enemy. You know, it's either that cougar or you, the saber-toothed tiger or you. It's that survival, it's that aggression to live. Every animal has that, right? Including us. Did you know that malignant aggression, cruelty for the sake of cruelty, is almost entirely absent in all mammals? This is purely a human thing. What we call evil is purely human. But humans are the only mammals that have a satisfaction, a craving out of this malignant aggression. It's interesting that we've been put on this earth. We've been tasked with this. We've been given this, where within there is an inherent type of cruelty that humans derive satisfaction out of. And think about it, it's everywhere. Good versus evil, right? It's in our stories. It's in our oldest mythological stories, the poems, it's in everything. It's in all kinds of literature. Ancient civilizations have been talking about this battle of good versus evil, sin, karma, etc. And the thing is, we cannot repress this dark side. We cannot. We are born in sin. This is the way of the world. This is the way of human. So what do we do with this? What do we do with these facts? Humans, in a way, are born evil, or they are born with the capacity of evil. And repressing that destructive tendency within us has ramifications down the line. It gets worse. We all know that guru, that spiritual guru that claims they are so enlightened, and it turns out they become this cult leader. They have a sex ring and all this craziness, and it's like, you see, this is a person that has not looked within, has not acknowledged the destructiveness, the innate evil within. It's an archetypal type of energy. An archetype is something that is seen throughout the ages, throughout the beginning of humanity. So good versus evil is archetypal. We see it in the Bible. We see it in all of our holy books. In every religion, in every spiritual belief system. What do we do with this archetypal energy? The thing is a destructive force, especially present in men. This is something that men, in a way, we are wired in a certain way. It's the hormones, it's the collective unconscious of masculinity, of men, where there's a war type of consciousness, a war consciousness that we crave. We play video games that emulate war. We watch movies that emulate war. We read books that emulate war. It doesn't have to even be literal war. It's just a struggle of life. It's battle. It's winning. It's succeeding. It's the challenge. It's climbing the ranks. This is especially prominent in men. We cannot deny this. We cannot deny this. Even in the modern day, where they try to say, oh, masculinity and femininity and all this are social constructs and they're fake, don't listen to them. Fuck that shit. It has existed since the beginning of humanity. It is something that is transcendent, and it does not mean that it has to be used for evil, because that destructive force can become a generative force, a creative force, a force of construction, or even a force for destruction in order to construct something better. War consciousness is something that we cannot ignore. It is embedded in our DNA. War consciousness is ironic in a way. It's paradoxical, because war, and I'm taking this from something that Jocko Willink mentioned in one of his videos or one of his talks, that war brings out the best and the worst in a human. Just think about it, about war. Of course, war is a nasty thing. We cannot deny this. Yet we see war bring out the worst. We see humanity at its lowest consciousness. We see humanity in its most cruel, in its most violent, in its most malignant. But we also see war bring out the best out of men, out of people, sacrificing for each other. And this is the highest ideal. This is the higher ideal, to sacrifice for your brother, for your sister, for your child. You see men and women sacrifice for the greater good. What is the highest price but to pay for your life? And war brings this out of people. I think a lot of people ignore the latter of this, of it bringing out the goodness, the higher ideal, the generative principle within us. So instead of ignoring this war consciousness, ignoring this drive, because that is only harmful, Suppressing something that is always within us creates way more negative things. It creates a lot of projection. And we see that now in the police state that we have. We see that now in certain movements. We see it. We see it because they project and point fingers when those people are doing the same thing. And we see it across the board, politically, socially, doesn't matter what group. I could be thinking of any group right now. And if they're doing that, that's what they're doing, which proves a point. When we tap into that higher consciousness, that higher order of aggression, we look at it, we acknowledge it. We don't have to be soft. Softness is good when it comes from within, when it's because we're able to give and be generous. These are amazing ideals to live up to. There are also ideals in this darker energy that can be converted, that can be used. What is better than looking at the collective and wanting to sacrifice your life, to give your life for the betterment of humanity? It's being aware, and that's the practice. And I do it myself, and it's helped me quite a lot because I used to be a softer type of person. I used to deny this darker side of myself, but it came out in other ways. It will come out in one way or another. We see this drive towards destruction, especially among men. We see this drive towards destruction all around us. I have brothers, family members, cousins. I've had uncles, I've had friends driven by this destructive tendency into alcohol, into women. These vices that destroy a man within, that destroy his capacity to be good, that destroy his capacity to live up to his standards, his potential, to give more to the world. I cannot imagine a man I know. I had this idea as a little boy, watching his favorite superhero movie, watching a war movie, whatever it was, and thinking in my life, I'm going to become a drunk and a womanizer. That is not the higher ideal. So when men cut away those vices, cut them away, throw them away, we're left with that energy. It doesn't go away. There's this tendency. So it's about finding a way to channel that into the appropriate direction. Apologies, the audio is going to be a little bit shitty now because my mic decided to die. But this video is so good that I'm just gonna continue. Hopefully it's acceptable. Forgive me, guys. So like in war, it's about making alliances in life, making alliances within ourselves, within our mind, within our body, within us, our vessel. We make alliances with the different parts of ourselves because we are made of different components. We are not made of just one single entity. I mean, the overall entity, yes, is one soul, one spirit, one body. But our mind is made up of so many components, so many different characters vying for control. That's why sometimes we fall into certain behaviors and we're like, where the fuck did that come from? So it's about making the alliance, the appropriate alliances with those parts of ourselves. Making an alliance with the war consciousness, with a destructive tendency within us. So that is the practice. That is something to journal about, to think about, to meditate about. Trust me, if this is something that you have not touched upon yet, I highly encourage, I invite you to do that. Because for most of my life, I did not. I allowed it to fester in ways that it should not have. I allowed it to come out and release into the world in ways that were unconscious, that I wasn't aware of, and yet I hurt the people around me. I hurt myself. And now, because I've confronted it, because I'm aware of it, I catch myself and I say, where is this coming from? And I don't shame it. I don't shame it. I'm able to use it in a more positive, generative way. Well, if you have a relationship with that part of yourself, I'd love to know about it. I'd love to know anybody's relationship with that destructive tendency. Was it something you have struggled with? Is it something that you have mastery over? Comment below. I'd love to read it. I'd love to respond. If you're new to this channel, my name is Nathan. I go by Nate Rocks on here. This channel is a space for the sacred masculine. It's a space for spiritually masculine men. We touch upon masculinity. We talk about archetypal energies, alchemy, etc. It goes on and on. Because my goal here is for us to fortify our mind, body, and spirit. So I invite you to join me. Please like and subscribe. And as always, thank you. I'll catch you in the next one.